I'm going to start by calling roll. My name is Chip Meehan. I'm the chair of the ad hoc committee for the Studio City Neighborhood Council, reviewing the Harvard-Westlake project proposal for the Wellington Golf and Tennis Facility. Terry Austin.
Here.
Alexander Black is not here. Peter Cole is not here but could be here at 7. Andrew Epstein is not here and would like to be removed from the committee. Steve Jones is MIA and will be removed from the committee. Tony Knight is not here and has to be removed from the committee. Michael Kapolsky is MIA and will be removed from the committee. Joe Laskin is excused for today. He will remain. Lori Rittenberg?
Here.
Nicely done. Lori's here. Melanie Winter?
Here.
It's 4. Scott Mendel does not count.
I'm here, but I don't count towards quorum.
That's right.
Counts in our hearts.
But I do count.
That counts in our hearts.
So we are 4 of 11. We do not have a quorum. We cannot conduct official business in this meeting. Since you're all here, what I'd like to do is explain what the intent of this meeting was and what the plans are next. And then since you're all here and want to speak and there is a public comment section, we will let everyone come up, make public comment, and be taped. We can also discuss what the next steps will be, and so we can make sure that you know where your voices can be raised to the largest audience and the greatest effect. Because of the Brown Act, which requires transparency in government, we are forced to do everything in public. In December of 22, we wrapped up 7 months of deliberation as the ad hoc, came up with a motion that was approved by the committee, forwarded to the Studio City Neighborhood Council board, and the board approved the motion that opposed the project as currently submitted based on a number of reasons. The principal ones we called out were artificial turf and greenhouse gas emissions, but there were many other topics that were in there. That comment on the DEIR.
Could you speak more into the mic, please?
That comment on the DEIR is where Studio City sits for the public record as of this point. Since then, the FEIR came out. I am not able, based on the Brown Act, to legally call around, get an email chain, any way communicate with the board, the committee rather, saying, what do you guys want to do moving forward? It has to be done in public. We have also discovered anecdotally that now that meetings have to be in public since COVID is allegedly over, that a lot of people that participated in various meetings through Zoom are not able to be there. 4 people out of 11 is testimony to the fact it's hard to get people to show up. We knew that was going to be a problem. The conversation was going to be amongst the committee. We opposed the DEIR. We were going to discuss what had changed in the FEIR and then decide what we're going to do moving forward. The options are to stay put, do nothing, to accept we love the project, to come up with some middle ground, or alternatively, to sit there and wait. The Neighborhood Council Board terms out the end of the 2-year term for the sitting board at the end of June, which means that there's one more lame duck meeting on June 21st with the existing board. If we rushed, which we can still do, to get a motion in front of that board, I do not know if that board is going to be able to field a quorum on the June 21st final meeting of the board. Scott has 6 affirmatives showing up at this point out of 15. If we don't have a quorum for the board, whatever the ad hoc committee does, dies. The ad hoc committee itself ceases to exist when the board terms out, and then it will be the decision of the new board, which will be sworn in July, if there should be an ad hoc committee. I don't know what day it is in July. Do you know what?
I think it's the 11th, it's the day before the public hearing, I
That's-
think, the swearing in of the new board. Yes,
Regular board meeting.
I believe that if a committee's job is not done, they do not dissolve.
I believe that because the committee was assigned by the board, it goes away when the board goes away. And
If
it's up
you look
to,
at the bylaws, it doesn't say that. Just say,
well, we'll look into that and clarify it.
yeah.
It's important, we all, I don't know.
the conversation was gonna go back and forth with the committee about, does it make sense, since this new board coming in July, is gonna live with this project for most of their 2-year term, does it make sense to actually get the new board up and running and get them engaged and actively working on the project? And those were gonna be the kind of discussions to have, which we cannot have. I think that and I am saying this by myself because I'm not allowed to confer with anyone without violating the Brown Act. What I'm going to do is reconfigure the agenda, take out those people that today challenged by showing up in person discovered that it doesn't work for them and they've asked to be removed. I'll remove those people from the committee, which will take us from 11 to 7 or 8, and see if the 7 or 8 remaining board members can meet next Thursday, the 15th, when there is another window in this room is open. And then we will have the discussion of, do we want to do a motion? If we did, what would it look like? Can we turn it around fast enough to get it in front of the June 21st board? Is it worth doing that? So this meeting is about, what do you guys want to do moving forward? It is a process meeting. It is not a meeting of substance. So I've been getting a lot of comments from people that were concerned about everyone's voices weren't being heard. Everyone's voices will certainly be welcome and heard, but we needed to constitute what the committee was doing moving forward. There was no way to do it without having a meeting in person. All right, so that's sort of where we are. So we don't have a quorum, we cannot conduct official business. But what we can do is have public comment.
Can I make a comment? Is this a?
Sure.
Okay, so I think that why a lot of people who I heard from were concerned about coming tonight was that the agenda as written, said that there would be a presentation from Westlake, it says, 5, discussion, and Harvard Westlake presentation and discussion on FEIR. And then it said ad hoc recommendations, and one of those recommendations was, or the 3 recommendations, just to be fair to say all of them, was accept the city recommendation, oppose because identified objectionable elements remain, or work towards a conditional use permit that makes this more palatable. And so the way the agenda was written was that there might be action tonight that would then go towards a motion.
But we can't have that.
And we're not going
We have
to.
to stop
But that's why-
conversation about
So
that
we're
now.
gonna move on now to public comment on non-agenda items. That is what's on the table right now.
Correct.
We're not
All
going
I
over
wanted
the
to say, Scott,
agenda.
if you talk over me, I'll just wait till you're finished,
But
but,
we can't talk about that
no,
legally
but what I'm
because
just
we
saying
don't
is,
have a-
this is what was on the
Got it.
written agenda. We're
I
not
got
gonna
it.
discuss it,
But
but
if-
that's why people are here.
But, fine.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
because we don't have a quorum, the agenda can't move forward legally.
I get it, we're
What
not
I-
doing
what I
that, but that's
don't-
why people are here.
What I don't want to do is end up getting in a situation where anything we do or have done is invalidated.
I get it.
Okay.
I totally get it.
So we're done.
So,
So,
point of order, the next board meeting is July 19th, not the 12th.
thank you very
So
much.
it's after the public hearing.
Yes,
So is either Scott or Chip at public hearing tonight, because this is an agendized meeting, that we're not following what's on the agenda because we do not have a quorum, but we do have people who have filled out comment cards. They are going to comment, so this will be part of public record.
Question.
No, wait a minute,
Yeah.
can you answer that, or I don't know? I'm not asking you, do you know? Just say no.
I don't know the answer.
Do you know the answer?
We're
There's
being-
no meeting.
There's no meeting, but
There's public comment on non-agenda item. I don't know how much.
Lori worked for the city for 22 years in the legal department?
27, but I don't know.
27, excuse me, I was just shaving a few off because it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have an idea of this? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth people making the comments
Mhm.
and let them make the comments, and we can talk to the city attorney
Okay.
and find out, and if so, they'll be part of, if it can be part of the record, it will be part of the record. But I think
Okay.
it's important to
Okay.
take the comments.
Lisa?
Okay.
Oh, well.
You'll take
Hold on
the
a second.
comment cards and send them in to
Okay.
whoever it is you send the
So
information
they
to.
could go to Kimberly Henry in the
So,
planning
or
department.
the recording actually, but if everybody has a comment card, they might want to write something on there.
Yeah,
You
we
can
got
hand
it.
it back to them or let them write something.
There's a whole stack of them there.
Because I'm not sure if they'll take the recording, that I
Okay.
don't know.
Scott just ran and got a bunch
Excuse me,
more.
hold
Well,
it.
but-
Melanie?
So maybe it's different for this particular committee, but my understanding is if you have an agenda, but you don't have a quorum, it doesn't stop you from following what's on the agenda. You just cannot take an official action.
That's what I, right.
So we are free to discuss, beyond taking public comment, we're free to have discussions as we were intended to have discussions, we just can't take an action. So we can talk about what the changes were, we can talk about anything. We're not constrained by not having a quorum of doing anything that's on this
Other
motion,
than voting.
except taking a vote.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Scott, that's what I said to Scott, and then he found something that said the opposite, that said.
No, we're not following the agenda. We can only, we can't do any business. We're not gonna pick and choose through the agenda. That's gonna lead to the next meeting. We're gonna go to public comment on non-agenda items on, yes, so what's the discussion? Let's just go to public comment on non-agenda items.
Well, wait, no, the issue, okay, wait a second, so if we can't, if the city won't take the recording, and maybe they.
Well, we don't know if they will or not.
Okay, if they don't, okay, so you've got all these comment cards, and like, you have all those comment cards, but those are just saying, I wanna talk about item number blah, blah, blah.
Hang on a second, people, just wait. We're not submitting anything to the city without board action. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Nothing goes to the city planning, nothing goes to city planning
None of us are.
unless the board approves it. Nothing is coming out of this committee for board approval. There's no meeting.
No, it doesn't. Board approval.
Yes, it does. It's not going
If people
anywhere
show-
unless
If
the
people show up for a meeting that was agendized.
But it didn't, the
meeting's
meeting
adjourned.
didn't.
There's no meeting.
That's not,
Well, the
no,
voting
why
isn't
for this
wrong.
meeting, why is
We'd
it?
have lots of meetings where there's
That's not how
not
it
quorum.
goes.
So there's been discussion.
And you turned in stuff to the city. You're supposed to end them very quickly and have a brief discussion.
Can I just finish what I want
Sure,
to
go
say?
ahead.
What I want to say is, so I guess, I don't know, someone said, well, okay, well, we can turn in the comment cards, but the comment cards don't say what they're for or against. So if you give them back the comment, most of those comment cards and have them write what.
We
It does say
are not
bargain.
turning in the comment cards. They can turn in their comment cards. They can write whatever they want. The SCNC cannot turn anything in to a city organization without board
Since this is
approval.
a public meeting, I'm gonna start recording it.
It's
Who has
me
it?
recording
Okay,
this.
and we get to keep that, that's not just for anybody, that's public records. Yes?
Where does that go?
It'll get posted on
It will.
if it comes out properly, because we either not
I'm just saying, what happens to this?
it'll get put on our.
Okay, so I just want to bring.
Just like all the others.
Okay, let me just bring everybody up where we are right now. Folks, excuse me. I'm sorry for the confusion. Because there is no quorum, there is no official meeting. Without an official meeting, there can be no recommendation to the board. Without the board recommending something, there can be nothing that goes to the city that comes from this meeting. Because the meeting doesn't exist because there wasn't a quorum.
That's so weird.
Is that true?
Well, what can happen is that all of you can write to your council member tomorrow and say, I attended a meeting with 50-odd residents, and because of something that went on, apparently it wasn't going to the city, but I want you to know I was there, I witnessed this, and this is what the public comment was. So you could do that. Contact ce4@lacity.org is the council member's email. So,
No, it's not. It's
I don't know what's gonna happen with these, but it is being recorded, and
Okay,
we're
Terry,
gonna
Terry,
try to
hold
do
on a second.
something.
Terry, hold on.
It's councilperson dot Raymond.
No, it's CD,
Okay, hold on a
Can
second.
we just move on to public comment?
Yeah. What,
It's not the Terry show or the Melanie show, it's,
Send it to the council person.
Why there's no quorum tonight?
because the people that are on the committee didn't show for the meeting. There's not more than 50,
This was a public meeting that was called.
yes,
By
and,
this committee.
and
So
the-
how come there's no, what right do they
they're
have?
physically not here. I'm here, you're here, I appreciate you being here, they're not here.
Do you have a comment card?
Steve?
I understand
just let them come up and speak.
you can't have a meeting without a quorum. So I can understand if the meeting, formal meeting was adjourned, okay? But I know that as just members of the neighborhood council or members of this committee, you circulate in the community, you hear what the community senses about different things. So I wonder if just because we are all here and just as an informal input kind of thing that you're just hearing this, not as an official body, but just in this room, and if you want to not be sitting up there so it's not official and move back here, whatever it is, if you want to, because you're here to gauge what people feel, and people have the opportunity to just vent that, hear that, is that something that could be done?
We're
Yes.
doing it.
Yes,
We're going to
trying to-
have public comment on non-agenda items as
We're
soon
starting now.
as-
Alan, you're on top of the pile. Would you come up?
Oh, you want more?
yeah, let's go.
Oh,
This is
public comment?
non-agenda?
Yeah, okay.
Right now?
That's all we can.
Right, got it.
Decide the agenda if we're not using.
There's no agenda, we have public
Got it.
comment on whatever you want to comment.
Right.
Can I just ask you,
Am I
can't
coming
take
through
this-
loud
these
and clear?
comments and use it at the next meeting?
Am I being?
Yes,
heard?
I mean, that would be my recommendation too, if I can get a quorum on the 15th.
And then
Or
take all these
honestly, as I
cards.
said earlier, this is a process, not a substance meeting. The idea that Terry brought up that brought some concern about Harvard Westlake is it's important for the committee to see what's the difference between the FEIR and the DEIR. And it was potential that the applicant could explain their interpretation of that. That's why they showed up on the agenda. They didn't want to come near the meeting because they knew it was a process meeting. They're available at some point down the road when it's actually a meeting of content, not a meeting of process.
Right, just answer the question. These cards were all filling out.
Yes,
You can
Patty,
use them.
I did answer the question. I said yes.
Yes.
I just want to hear you say you can use them at the next official meeting.
When I say I can use them,
can
so you
take
want me
these
to hold on
cards
to these?
and have, if these same people can't show up at the next meeting, then they're, because they showed up here, they provided comments. Even though
So
it's not an official
I
meeting.
don't believe that's proper. I don't think we can do that. I think you'd have to show up again for the meeting. Steve?
I have two questions. I don't understand yet the difference between FEIR and DEIR. How do I learn how to do that? Is that something we're gonna do in this process?
It's in the 16,000-page document. Seriously, it explains in there the difference between the DEIR
I
and
can tell
the
you.
Who's
FEIR.
I can explain it to you.
Let's-
No, not this minute. Okay, so my second question, are you allowed to appoint other members to the committee in the meantime, because the other ones?
Not for today.
No, not this minute.
For another meeting I could. I believe I can adjust the composition of the ad hoc committee
For the
between,
people who left.
because if I need to get the people that are dead wood off the piece, otherwise we'll never get to a
No,
quorum.
no.
Yeah, yeah,
That's another thing, but you can't.
Okay, all right, let me go back. Let's start working through this. Alan, you are being taped. Go for it.
Am I being heard? Can anybody hear me?
The camera's over there. But you can stand there, Ellen, we can hear you. Is it being recorded
Well, I
or
want
just being on the
everybody to hear
camera?
me.
It's being recorded here and there. That's why I set the buttons right.
Okay. You know what, Ellen, if you stand in front of that camera with the microphone, you'll be both heard and seen.
Ellen,
What?
Mine isn't working.
Maisie,
Well,
yes,
I
it's
can-
your friend Alan. Bring it to your friend Alan. No.
Everybody, the camera's right.
No, that one's not hooked up. Is this one working better? Can you hear me?
Oh, thank you so much.
Alan, the
Okay.
camera.
And then turn around because the camera's there.
The camera's here.
Camera.
Just
It's right here,
Go
where
over.
I am.
Well, oh, there you are,
Yeah,
okay.
it's right here.
Good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here.
closer to your mouth.
And I'm speaking on.
Closer to your mouth.
Speaking about in the public comment period, nothing to do with the agenda, this is a public comment, that's it. We are being recorded, and I believe that it'll be available for future people to listen to what everybody here
Yeah,
says
thank you.
tonight. As long as you speak to, not the agenda, speak to the public comment. This is what you can do tonight.
You're using up your time.
What?
You're using up your time.
Only have 30 seconds.
You have 30 seconds left.
Oh.
Time's up.
Okay, all right, let me tell you who I am. I'm Alan Diamond, I'm speaking for the Studio City Residents Association as a membership of approximately 2,000 residents. I also speak as president of the Save LA River Open Space. Surveys taken indicate that the golf and tennis facility is seen as a part and parcel of the social fabric of Studio City and beyond. SCRN stars opposed to the proposed Harvard Westlake Sports Complex as follows. It will destroy a social gathering place. Access to the public will be limited. There will be a loss of valuable, unrestricted open space with access to all. Harvard Westlake Sports Complex is too big. It does not honor representations made by Rick Commons, head of school. It does not honor the promises made by the same person to keep the tranquility of the neighborhood. The property title is held by a limited liability partnership. It is not in the name of Harvard Westlake. So who is hiding behind this limited liability partnership? Harvard Westlake does not on record as being the owner of the property. It's a limited liability partnership.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Okay. Okay, I'm through?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Colleen. Colleen Bernard? Colleen Bernard? Is there Colleen in the room?
Say what, Colleen?
Okay.
If anybody couldn't hear, Colleen says she opposes the development.
Dave Wilson.
Right here, I oppose the development as well.
Beth Diamond, I oppose the development.
Well, Beth, hold on a second. Let me get to the, let me get an order, please.
If you'd like to be on camera, it's over here.
You don't have mine yet.
Dale Fernandez.
Yeah, the camera's there. You just do there. The camera is over there.
Yes, and that's a hot mic.
Hi, my name is Dale Fernandez. I'm a business owner in the area in Valley Village, and I live in Studio City. I'm opposed to this development. I'm gonna give there's so many points I want to make, but just three major ones. Everyone's talking about decreasing their plastic use, like single-use plastics, right? But they're going to be putting on a few different fields just made of plastic. Those fields are not recyclable. And I just want to make sure people know that. So they're going to end up in the landfills. They're going to seep into the groundwater with PFAS, forever chemicals, right? They're known to be carcinogenic. That's why the EPA is actually making laws against PFAS production. DuPont just had a multi-million-dollar settlement against them because of that. We don't want that in our neighborhood. Number two, I play golf there. I'm a chiropractor in the area, and I go there on my lunch hour in the morning just to practice. And I'm in speaking as a minority, I can actually love that area because I'm allowed to go there whenever I can, I want. But if with this development, I'm not going to be able to do that as an individual. Only groups are able to get on to use the gym facilities. Just so you guys know that too. And
Thanks so much for
Thank you.
your time. Appreciate it. Bill. Adele?
Oh, I was on the bottom of the pile.
No, you put it on top.
Oh. I was just looking up. Hi, my name is Adele Slaughter. Can you hear me okay if I just talk like this? I can't find this bit of information. I spent the day working on the response to the FEIR, which is the final environmental impact report, which has come out. It was written by a company that is very smart and clever. And I called a chemist and also PEER, which is an organization that is a whistleblowing organization against scientists for hire. And I was told by the chemist that the information in the FEIR, while factually true, is not the whole story. It's not the whole story about the dangers of artificial turf. And when I was doing this, I was writing a response to that for Chip, because he had asked me to do it. I found this bit of information that over 700 square feet of earth, of the land there, will be gone, which means all the trees, everything you see there will be gone. It will be as if a bomb. You know how Sunkist was when they took down those trees? It'll be worse than that. All that will be gone, and then they're going to put in, artificial turf, artificial fields, walls to go around, lights and bleachers, and look, it'll be a different place. It will be a different place. It isn't necessarily that it's so bad, but it's not what it is today.
Adele, that's your time.
I'm done.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to me.
And just for the non-existent record, the conversations Adele and I had around artificial turf do not pertain to the ad hoc committee relationship to the FEIR, but work we are doing through the Studio City Neighborhood Council Sustainability Committee, which has a position opposed to artificial turf broadly in the community.
Thanks for the correction.
No correction, supplementation. Joanne Deutsch?
Can you just read my comments? I'd be faster.
Oh, comment. Please poll the SCNC board members in a public forum. Do they support 100% losing the golf course? Do they oppose the loss of the golf course? What constituency do they represent? Who is their customers?
Who have they polled for their opinion?
Possible number of people. Well, you're here, so you count. So what is your opinion?
My opinion is I think the community desperately needs to keep the golf course.
So you're opposed to the project? Thank you. Jody Church.
Cameras over there, microphones.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jody Church. I live at 4213 Goodland. I vehemently oppose the entire Riverwalk development project. In particular, I strongly object to the proposed ADA-compliant accessible pedestrian ramp leading to the north side of the Zev Greenway at Coldwater Canyon. This is described in the FEIR. I live adjacent to the west end of the Riverwalk path and have not felt safe using it for many years. Unhoused, mentally challenged people hide in the foliage and threaten residents on a regular basis. This proposed second ramp, because one already exists on the south side of the Greenway, would allow increased access for not only unhoused individuals, but also those seeking parking for Sportsman's Lodge retail shops. Harvard-Westlake students could easily use the the south ramp for access to the project should it be done. And that's it.
And perfect timing, I appreciate that as well. Mary Paquette? Okay.
Go ahead, Mary.
Hi, Marine Charter Nurse Practitioner, and I'm strongly opposed to Harvard Westlake's proposal to destroy the last 16 acres of green space we have in this area, period. It will ruin this entire area. We need to keep our green space as it is.
Thank you so much. Jolene Lamont?
You want me up here?
Wherever you want.
Oh, camera, no camera? I don't really care.
That's up to
Hi,
you.
I'm Julie Lamont. I live up on Berry Drive, the top of Berry Drive. I am not as impacted by traffic as most of the people. Going down Ventura Boulevard at any time is a problem. However, I want to suggest that if you wrote postcards, or you wrote something, or you put it in the paper about everybody who is within a mile radius of where the school is going to go, people will, and you talk about the traffic impact, that will get everyone, because that's everybody's self-interest, is the traffic impact. You have to get the entire community, all those people who are not here tonight and never will be here if we just talk about environmental impact. You have to talk about what really hits them, traffic. Thank you. Point of information. It's not going to be a school. It's going to be a.
You're not working.
It's going to be a recreation center, just so everybody knows.
Ren is saying that it's not a school, the school owns it, but the actual project is a recreational facility, just for clarification, because it was described as a school. It's owned by the school, but is that right?
And I believe that is a very important point.
Your mic's not plugged in.
Oh, it's unplugged?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just do the public comment first.
It's owned by LLC is what
Okay, I
Ellen
just
was
have
saying.
to clarify.
Yeah. Terry
For
Kirby?
everyone, it's important that we.
Terry Kirby,
Terry
oh, there he
Kirby?
is.
I'll just stay back here. I oppose what's going on. Besides the traffic, it's just, let's be truthful, a few people will benefit from this development. And those are the people, the children that go to the school there.
Yep.
After that, nobody else goes, nobody else benefits. People from Encino, Tarzana, Burbank, Sunland, the rest of the surrounding area that go there to golf, to enjoy themselves, to walk the area, are no longer part of the deal. I oppose what's going on.
Thank you, Terry. I'm William Shannon.
I'm going to take this one just for this. Is this the one?
That one works.
I'm totally opposed to the whole Harvard Westlake project. This property has been part of the community for many decades and must remain as such. Instead of lush, green, open land, they want to turn into decomposed granite, artificial turf, concrete, and it will go from tranquility to huge lights and plenty of noise. Please make all future meetings in a big open forum.
Thank you. Was this a big open forum, MSD?
I would prefer it bigger, so we have more representatives.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't think that representation was limited by seating, though, tonight?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. Gentle Phoenix?
Where's my microphone?
It's the one over there on the stand.
Hi, is it on?
Yep.
I am. Hi, my name's Gentle Phoenix. I am strongly opposed to the Harvard Westlake project. I know you said you want to make the distinction that it's a recreation center, but that really says recreation for people, right? But it's not, because, yeah, private people, which now everybody in the public, I'm a single woman, and, you know, for me to feel safe someplace, that place makes me feel safe. I can go there and golf. I can meet people I never would meet. It's a safe place to go. That is a recreational center. So anything that comes there where they're going to put up 12-foot walls, 80-foot stadium lights, the noise from there is crazy. There's owls that live there. I mean, yeah, traffic and stuff. And also, they lied about whoever did the Sportsman's Lodge thing. They completely weren't truthful about the parking situation that now affects my neighborhood because I live on the other side of the wash and people are coming there to park. Where I live now, it's a safe slow area where people walk their dogs, they walk their babies around. This is now gonna turn into a construction zone where people are gonna be speeding through, there's gonna be traffic, there's gonna be trash. It's gonna change to the safe space that we have. The green is there, but it's just, you're taking away safety for kids when 100,000 people a year go to this facility. 100,000 people a year for 2,000 kids. Is it 2,000 maybe? I'm sorry, 900. So those numbers just don't seem any kind of fair to me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Latonya Sanders.
She opposes, she had to leave. She opposes the Harvard Westlake.
Patty Kirby, are you here? Shocking.
Shocking, right?
Is it this one? Hey, everybody, thanks for coming. No, not working?
It works.
Just speak right into it.
Thanks
You
for
have to be
coming.
close to it.
Speak right into it, Patty, pull it right up
I'm
your
one
mouth.
of the organizers of Save Weddington. We're fighting hard for you to be able to keep this property. There are 21 issues in the FEIR, I believe 21, that were opposed to allowing happen to our city, our little neighborhoods, right? Including safety, artificial turf, air quality, noise, the bat population, lights, traffic, public access, dirt removal, and haul route. We are trying to hire experts to comment on all of these items. If you can help us in any way with a donation, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert Stir.
Yes, my name is Robert Skier. I'm going to be speaking back here. I want to echo what Mr. Kirby said earlier. I vehemently oppose this development. When you go to Weddington now, they say, welcome, would you like to play golf? Would you like to play tennis? In a few years, if they do this development, what I'm going to do when I go on the property is, sir, you don't belong here. This is a school, this is private property, we have to protect our children.
Yes.
So instead of 100,000 people getting to use this facility, okay, there are 900 students, let's say 500 of them are involved in the kinds of things that they do there. So how does that benefit the community? And this community center, this recreation center, who's that open for? If I go on the property, I'm going to hear it's private property. And have you been pre-approved to go to our recreation center? And the answer will be, I haven't, because you probably, I'm guessing they're gonna limit the number of people who are approved to a small number of hand-selected people just to tick the box. You know what? That property right now is for everybody, not just a privileged few, it's for everybody. And I want to keep it for everybody. That's why I'm part of this community. Thank you very much.
Guido Mazzadelli.
My name is Guido Mazzarelli. I live on Laurel Grove since 1986. I've seen a lot of changes. I am against this project. It's just too big. Now I drive Uber Eats. The traffic in Studio City is crazy. And it's going to get so much worse. This big project, the way it is now, it will change the quality of air in my immediate neighborhood because I live 3 blocks away. So I'm against it.
Thank you. Josie Perone.
I too vehemently disagree with the development of the Harvard Westlake Recreational Center. I too, like everyone else has said here, I'm a longtime community member. I'm very concerned about the changes that it would make to the face of the community. There's a lot of pickleball players here, and we really enjoyed getting to places like Weddington that offer meeting times and meeting spaces that are open to the public. So I too vehemently disagree with this plan.
Randy. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Randy Benedetto, and I've lived in this area for over 50 years. And I think this project for Harvard Westlake is, I'm totally opposed to it. And everybody that has said
what is on their mind this evening is beyond 100% makes sense, that it's just going to totally ruin a community where people were able to go to that facility. As far as a private school being able to just all of a sudden come into an area and take up some property for, what did you say, 900 students?
870.
Excuse me?
870.
It just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense, and then when you get into the environmental issues, it's unbelievable. It just does not make sense. And I'm opposed to it.
Thank you so much. Jen Fay?
Hi, my name is Sam Feig. I didn't prepare anything to say today, but I'll do my best because I found out last minute about this. But I grew up in that neighborhood right behind the golf course, and I grew up in that neighborhood, and I just want to come here and voice my opinion. I think I speak for a lot of the people in my neighborhood that we vehemently oppose the Harvard project in every shape and form. We don't want a football stadium in our backyard. We don't want the lights. We don't want the noise. We don't want the traffic. It's criminal to do this. It's something that the whole community uses, has been using for over my whole lifetime, which is over 40 years. We've been using that golf course. If you go there any day of the week, you'll see kids, families using the tennis courts, the golf courts, and we're going to fight this, Harvard, so you better be ready for a big fight, because we're not going to take any shape or form. You should have known that. Yeah. Also, before, my mom used to fight this. This is an argument, this is a fight that the community has been waging for a long time. We've been trying to get that golf course turned into how do you say it? Like his historical landmark, just like all the other golf courses, like the one in Van Nuys and the one in Los Feliz, to try to turn it into someplace for the city. If we could just raise some money, maybe the community, or come up with some plan, but we're not going to take a football stadium in our backyard. We're going to keep fighting that.
Thanks so much.
Anything?
Lori Cullen?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll just stay here.
What side are you on, Lori?
First of all, I'd like to know why Harvard Westlake canceled last minute when we came to hear their presentation, because it would be uncomfortable?
No, because they, as I said before, if we were to have, as a committee, that was researching which way to move forward, it would have been potentially useful to have the applicant here. If they were not on the agenda, they could only have 1 minute as all public comment.
20 minutes on the agenda.
Yeah, 20
So-
minutes. They had 20 minutes.
If they were not on the agenda, they would be stuck with 1 minute as public comment. So to get more time, they had to be on the agenda. When they realized this was a process meeting to see what, if anything, the ad hoc was going to do, they said, why don't you guys figure that out? And at any time, if you need us, we'll be available. So that's why they were there. Because they had to be on the agenda, otherwise it was only 1 minute for public comment.
Okay.
And for those of you that asked me in particular, I let you know yesterday that they had said, we're not prepared to be there because you guys aren't ready for us. Let us know when you are. So you knew yesterday.
And otherwise, I oppose the project for so many reasons. The artificial turf, the ridiculous satisfy your council member walkway up to Coldwater Canyon when their students can run down from the school and go down the ramp by
Hey, Patty,
Sportsman's
please,
Lodge
guys.
onto the south side of the river and run all the way to Whitsett and go up and get into the property. They don't need to build another ramp, even though our council member wishes they would. And we'd like them to not have that flow go into the neighborhood and allow more homeless into the neighborhood and more people who can't park at Sportsman's Landing, because that was
a ridiculous plan with not enough parking. So that's a whole other area that I don't agree with besides most of the project. And how they keep sending out their fancy marketing postcards every week to us about all these things and, oh, look how many trees we're planting. How tall are those trees? Are those trees more than 3 feet tall to replace 100-year-old, 100 and whatever trees? It's all so slick and fancy. Money, money, money. That's all they are. Greed, money, and what works nice.
Selfish.
Member Fisher.
Hi, I'm Tamara Fisher, and I'm just going to speak from here.
Tomorrow, stand up and face them so they can hear you.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, just stand in front of them.
My name is Tamara Fisher. I oppose the project. I know there's a lot of things about the project that are bad. My point of view is, why are we taking anything away? Why are we losing it? But more than that, I also want to bring up the fact that this is a community issue. Harvard Westlake is a community. We are part of the community that they're in. If there's a meeting, a community meeting, why aren't they here? I don't care what their reason is for not being here. It's a community meeting. And either you're part of the community and you care, or you arrogantly don't give a shit and you don't show up.
There you go.
I also would,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
am I done?
No, you can go ahead.
I'd also like to know if the Munger family knows what Harvard Westlake is doing with their money.
Steve Hirsch?
Good evening, Steve Hirsch, 50-year resident, second-generation resident of Studio City. I'm speaking in strong opposition to the project. This development represents total disregard by Harvard Westlake for the Studio City community effort to preserve the Weddington Golf and Tennis as open space. This project exemplifies the influence, I'm going to call it big edu, and business hold over community interest. The name Harvard Westlake River Park demonstrates the obscuring of the actual project, which is an educational facility secured from the public. There's no park and there's no river. The adjoining Zevierosovsky Greenway, now part of the proposed Harvard Westlake development, is on county land, and it is an asset created and funded by the Studio City residents and community to provide access to the Studio City part of the river. It is not a giveaway development to Harvard Westlake. They must take that out of their plan. 6 community meetings held by Harvard Westlake yielded no concessions or alternatives reflecting community interest. There remains no defined use or access for the community. Harvard Westlake needs to be the potential neighbor they portray, or just remain the big edgy business they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Found the agenda. Morton Thorpe, please.
Good evening, I'm Martin Thorpe, I live in Ballyglen. I've been playing golf and tennis with my wife since 1995 at Weddington, and that was after the racket centre was destroyed on the corner of Vineland and Ventura, which was another loss of like 24 courts and a lot of racquetball courts. I googled a couple of things today. How many people use Weddington golf and tennis? And the answer was, what makes Weddington golf and tennis so special? This property is open to the public, no club fees, no restrictions, and is enjoyed by over 100,000 Angelinos every year. People from all backgrounds and walks of life can enjoy a relaxing day on the course or courts or work their way around, work their swing out on the range. Conversely, if you Google what is the pupil count at Harvard Westlake, you get 1620. So the interests of thousands of people are to be subsumed by, let's say, 50%, so maybe 800 very privileged students. Hardly seems fair, does it? The destruction of a very green space for the privileged few. I'm totally against this project, and I'm glad to see that all of you are too.
Jean McConnell? Jean McConnell?
She had to leave.
She's opposed.
She left the comment card, yeah.
Sandy Patton?
What did it say?
It said she left.
Oh, we should.
Randy Dodge.
I'm not a resident of Studio City, but I am a resident of Laurel Canyon. And I've been here, I was born here, so I've been here since 1953. My sister told me about, Sandy just told me about this. I've been hearing about, I've been hearing about it. And it brought to mind a similar situation, not the exact, but Fairfax High. It used to be open for the public. Everybody would go running there every day. And I did, and I was a runner, and I'd run on the grass. As soon as they turned it into AstroTurf, they locked it up. They put these big lights up that scares everybody. And they made it basically private. It's a high school, but nobody would ever go there. If you go there now, you can't get in. So what's going to happen with with this project is the exact same thing. None of you are going to get to go in. The nature's all going to be gone. All the animals are going to be gone. The walking in nature or being in nature with trees and grass is all going to be over. It's all for the privileged few. It's all about money. This is what this whole project is. It's not about you're going to have a community center where you can go. None of you are going to go there. Like it's been brought up, it's all going to be private. And I just want, I just feel like, haven't we cut down enough trees? Don't we need some more trees? I don't want to cut down one more tree. So I wish they would have come here so that we could have talked to them. But it just seems like big business. They're hiding. They didn't come here. They should be because they are part of the community. So I just want you guys all to know that this is what your future is going to be. Thank you.
And again, this was a process meeting. So there will be another content meeting. And so assuming we have a full board meeting on June 21st, it would be great if all these comments came back and were presented to the full board. Veronica Thorpe.
I don't want to talk. My husband doesn't. My opinion opposed. But I oppose.
Okay, Lori Young.
My name is Lori Young, and I've been a resident in Studio City for over 30 years. What I want to say is I oppose the project. My comments are in reference to the DIR. One, I don't think that they analyze anything of different project alternatives, which they should have. They didn't look at maybe having a less intense project, no project, or accommodating some of those facilities off-site. And their reasoning was that because the school has their educational mission, which included a wish list of every single athletic facility, that they didn't need to provide the alternatives. And I don't think that's right. The report is written like this is a use permitted by right, but they need to have a conditional use permit, and the burden is on the applicant to demonstrate that this is an acceptable use for this site, and I don't think they've done that. Also, in the report, there wasn't a clear itemization of what the inconsistencies between the city's land use policies and zoning policies with the project. So I think there's a lot of things missing in the report.
Thanks so much. Lori Feinstein.
I strongly oppose this project. I think for the good of Harvard Westlake's curriculum, the sports curriculum, the whole community should not sacrifice all it will. And I agree with every comment that's been made opposing these projects.
S. Fortall.
the development.
And you also give your time to Terry Austin, I see. Janine, Bill? Undecided?
Hi, everybody. Had there been a quorum, I would have urged the ad hoc to request the SCNC have a motion that they do not support the River Park in its current rendition. The FEIR stats show clearly that the vast majority of the community opposes this development. It would forever change the lives of those Studio City residents in the neighborhood, as well as the hillside communities, and quite frankly, all of Studio City. Both will bear the burden of the noise and the health issues, and really there are vast health issues from the construction and the recreational activities thereafter. And the stats are, from the DEIR, there were 59 support letters. There were 1,008 general opposition letters, and there were 240 individual opposition comments. So that is about 1,250 opposition to 59 support. So furthermore, the DEIR as well as the FEIR makes it clear in black and white the fallacy of Harvard Westlake's contention that the sports complex proposed will be available to individual residents. Both clearly state that facilities are for swim member clubs and organized sports groups and nonprofits approved by Harvard Westlake. It's also clear that there's not a 6-acre park within the walls that the public will have use of. There's not a park. There's not a 6-acre park. The individual public usage is the landscape trail around the perimeter of the walls, period. And that is in black and white. The public at large will have no usage of any of the amenities. Because of misleading marketing, the minority of the community who have supported the development in the past did so because they believed they would be able to use the gym, the pool, the track. Most have now learned the truth and are against the project. So in addition, 14,000 community members have signed on to support the protection of the 16-acre Weddington Golf and Tennis in its entirety. And I will just add the last little tree thing that came around, that they're planting hundreds of trees. Quite frankly, there is no room for hundreds of trees on that site once it is built to the level that they're going to build. So they will put tiny little saplings in that will never be able to get to maturity. And unfortunately, the protective tree ordinance will let them, says that they can let them die within 3 years. So that is an old developer trick to say that we're planting all of these trees when quite frankly, the site will simply not support them.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much.
Heidi McKay? Heidi McKay? Don't run, that's what people give her.
A few things quickly. Actually, you can find very easily the differences between the DEIR and the FEIR starting on page 91, and it's not very many pages. They give a summary of the differences. So you don't have to read 16,000 pages, just so you know. Another quick thing, next time a board has an applicant coming, I do believe, because we all know this is not Harvard's first rodeo, that the opposition has to present as well. That's the only fair thing. So when the applicant came, we had many, many meetings from their other, that the opposition always presented as well. And I think everyone here should probably email their comments. These have been great comments, but it sounds like they're not going to really be seen and heard by who's important. So I think they should email, you should email to the actual board, the actual neighborhood council board, not ad hoc, because it's kind of not. Well, yeah, but the email, well, hopefully no email.
I mean, just to, Heidi,
Yeah.
any individual comment from
Tonight?
folks should go directly to Kimberly Henry. Everything that goes through the board gets filtered by votes. So you should reach out directly to Nithia's office, to Paul's office, and to Kimberly Henry of the planning department.
Absolutely. I'm just wanting this meeting to try to count to the board itself. Because my next point is, you can have a special board meeting. You do not have to wait till the last lame duck meeting. The last time we had, was on the board, we had a special board meeting for that particular development. So you don't have to wait. So if everybody emails the board, and then I don't know who would recommend it, but you can have a special board meeting.
Well, we don't need a special meeting. If we can get the committee to meet, then the committee has time to put a motion or even conversation in front of the board on June 21st. So
But
we
the
don't,
next board meeting is when though?
the next board meeting for the new board
board.
is the 19th of July.
Exactly, so
What we don't know is if we can move the new board up. It's a new board starting at the end of June.
at the end of June, so it seems to me you could have a special board meeting before the end of June with the current board.
But
And
we
I,
don't need that, though.
pardon?
We still have one meeting left. We don't need a special meeting.
You have one meeting left.
Other than the fact that this ends
June
up being.
21st, but you seem to think it was gonna be a lame duck because you don't think a lot of people are gonna show up. right?
We've only had 6 board members confirm that they'll be at the June 21st meeting.
Okay, so maybe if you make a special board meeting for this issue, which is huge for the community, maybe they might show up. But
Maybe.
also, may I also point out real quick that this board has already voted against this because you voted, as you said, the DEIR, you were against it. I can assure you, when you read page 91, you'll see there's very little difference. In fact, in some cases, worse. So you'll probably want to vote against it again. But you also voted to protect it within the Cultural Heritage Commission, which we all know they changed the wording, but you were on record as to saying you supported the entirety. So you're already on record to not support this. So I hope the board puts an official thing in before they all go home.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification to Heidi's comments. The SCNC has had 4 motions to date, all with opposition to the project.
Good.
So,
Yay.
Susan Hammer.
I have not been attending these meetings. I've been keeping up by reading. And I'm opposed to the development of this area. I mean, there's so few tennis courts. My family's been tennis players. We've been playing tennis there forever. But on the other hand, everybody says no, but they spent $50 million on this project. So when you say no, do you expect it to go back to what it was? It's not going to go backwards. I don't, who's going to take over the care of this? Who's going to buy it back? I mean, they spend a lot of money. So if they are frustrated and give up, somebody's going to have to pay them another $50 million. And then it's the next person and the next person. What's that? But somebody's got to buy it from them. Who's going to put up that kind of money?
Well, the city spent $1 billion on homeless last year. They might be able to come up with 50 million for public access.
Well, I would love that, but maybe that should be the push and just
Please
saying.
let her finish her comment.
So maybe that should be the push instead of saying, I want to go back to what it was, which is lovely and wonderful, and we do need green space. I mean, LA has almost the least amount of green space, except for Griffith Park. LA has no green space. I mean, the whole city is not just Studio City. So, I mean, we need green space. I'm totally for trees and wildlife and all that. But the realism of this whole conversation today, it doesn't give me a lot of hope. How about that? I think we need something concrete.
I'll just say there's lots of tax breaks and things available to people with that kind of money and that kind of standing, so.
But why didn't they buy it before Harvard Westlake bought it?
They could be deeded to the public trust.
Well, there was a great deal of effort on the part of Slaros since the year 2000 to solicit the money to buy the property. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars spent by that nonprofit to come up with an alternative park idea, which didn't take hold. We couldn't find the money. And at the time when we spoke, Rec and Parks didn't want it, the city didn't want it. So there was exhaustive effort that was still ongoing at the time that Harvard Westlake came in and paid $43 million for a property we thought was gonna be 25. So, I mean.
Well, it was
I
10
mean,
at one point.
Excuse me, Chip, I think that what Chip has said is 1,000% true. Solaros spent time and money and personal sweat and tears trying to protect the property and the river front. However, there wasn't the political will from Wendy Gruhl or Paul Krikorian to move this forward. I think personally, as a homeowner in this area for 36 years, I watched zero political will. Where there's a will, there's a way. There was no will, so no way. However, now that this has become front burner, and now that we now in 2023 have a more public interest behind green space, and everybody knows that term, in my experience over the last 2 years, I am very confident if that property came up for sale again, not in a closed backdoor deal that was done with a politician and the vendor, I'll bet you there would be someone who would like to
I
keep
walked
it
into
as it
that,
is.
my fault. Sharon, you're up.
I vehemently oppose the project, and any other time can go to Terry.
Catherine, Terry is on the committee, so allegedly she wouldn't need your time, but it's a nice parliamentary move by everybody. Catherine Tolford. Catherine? Okay. Oh, she left. Steve Sass. Yes, it is. No.
I'm Steve Sass. I've lived here in Studio City for almost 30 years, and I'm a member of the SCRA board. And I oppose the project for all of the reasons that have been stated. And there's an additional thing, which is that from the beginning, when they first bought the property, Harvard Westlake pledged to work with the community to develop something that would fit with the community. And after that letter was written and sent out, that was the end of that. I feel that there hasn't been that effort despite presentations. There hasn't been a dialogue. There hasn't been a discussion. They want to do what they want to do. And there hasn't been transparency, not because the city requires it, but because they're a neighbor, and a good neighbor works with its surrounding community. We thought, I think, that when they proposed that bridge across Coldwater Canyon, and they had a very bad experience, that they would have learned from that effort, and they would have changed this time around. But that hasn't been the case. And so I think that the other big issue is that we don't know what they plan on their current campus as a result of removing the sports facilities and moving those facilities to the Weddington property. And also, we should be very careful about nomenclature. They call it River Park. We should be talking about it as development project, and in all of our communications, we should be doing that, because that's really what it is. The city has not required them to tie the property on Coldwater with this property, and has not talked at all about, and they certainly have not talked about, what they plan to do with their football field there, or their gym, whatever else. Why do they need those duplicate facilities? And all of us and the surrounding community will bear those impacts. And those questions, while they may not be addressed in the EIR, those are the questions for our elected officials who ultimately will make this decision. And they have to take into account all of those impacts. And we need to hold them to that.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, I'm just going to speak from here, if that's okay. I lived in Studio City, so I moved here in 1976, and I've used tennis and golf facilities over at Witsit since that time. I used to take golf lessons from Roger Dunn. It's been a staple in the community for just decades. And to see this happen, I just think would be just a crime.
First of all, I feel really bad for the people that own homes in that area that invested their money, and they're gonna see a huge decline in the profits that they've, paid money over the years for. I mean, it's definitely gonna affect property values there. And another thing, being a golfer, well, I play pickleball now, but I used to play golf twice a week. One of the arguments that Harvard said was that, it's, the golfers can go and play, you have Balboa, you've got Whitley, you've got Encino, you've got Wilson, you've got Harding. Those are 18-hole PGA, 6,000-yard golf courses. You're not gonna take a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old out to those courses to learn how to play golf. It's not gonna happen. So you're gonna lose that whole community of young children that are not gonna be able to play golf there, not gonna have a putting green, not gonna have a driving range, it's just gonna go away. And that's, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, what everybody else has said here. Look, I mean, you can't even cut an oak tree branch without getting a permit, and they're gonna tear down hundreds of trees there. Hundreds of trees. The scope of the project, 3 years of demolition and dust and dirt and light pollution and noise pollution, and I don't even know how it got to this point. I mean, it's really just pretty beyond belief. That's all.
Thanks, Alex. Next up is Judy Millar. Judy Miller.
Millar.
Right.
This was the last one, which is the last one.
Beth, you want to close this out?
I oppose.
Okay. I think that is the last of the comment cards. Did you have a comment card?
I thought this is zoned as agricultural. So on what basis is what they're proposing as agricultural?
I can't really take that up right now.
Did it get rezoned?
It did not get rezoned.
That's the issue.
That's what the
We can't discuss that substantive conversation in a place that doesn't have a meeting without violating the Brown Act. I'm sure that there are a number of groups out there that help you navigate through that.
If I may?
Sir.
Okay. We have 2 council members, Nithya and Paul QUORUM. These will be instrumental in making the final decision. So if you want to have some effort, give them a call. Tell them what you want. They need to hear from you. That's what I do every day. Hey, what's going on? They're not responding, but if not all of us call, say, what the hell are you going to do? I've written to Nithya and said, what's your position? And she's going to have to answer that question sooner or later, because if those of you who attended our community meeting, Barry Johnson spelled out the reality of the situation is, when they go before city council, what they do is they give great deference to the council member.
Alan, we're not going to be able to get into that, unfortunately, because
No, I'm not. This is my closing remark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip, on giving me the courtesy to tell what the reality is. The council member and the zoning administrations are the ones that will make this happen, and they need to hear from you, all of them.
So,
Thank you, Chip.
thank you, everyone, for your comment. Thanks, everyone, for your comments. Make sure that these go to the right places. As Alan said, it would be your 2 council members, and also Kimberly Henry at the planning department needs to hear from you on July 12th. There is a public hearing, which is going to be another Zoom cluster that we've all seen for the past 3 years. That will be another place for public comment to happen. That will be officially recorded.